Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the awakening of the powerful Saiyans, Vegeta and Nappa, the TEQ Vegeta and Nappa. Their terrifying conqueror's lead of 130%, they raise attack and defense 1 turn on their super attack whilst greatly lowering attack and defense for the enemy. They have attack and defense of 150%, they have an additional attack of 80% when performing a super attack. They have key plus 3 up to 4 and an additional attack and defense of 30% up to 120% with each attack performed. They launch an additional attack, there's a great chance of becoming a super attack. They have attacks effective against all types when the target enemy is an attack down, defense down. They reduce damage received by 30% as the third attacker in a turn. And they guard all attacks when there's another terrifying conquerors or pure Saiyans category ally attacking in the same turn. In terms of build, additional is probably your main friend here, mainly because of how it raises their defense, boosts them up quickly, but also a little bit of crit goes a long way, especially in fights where you cannot lower the attack and defense of the enemy. Brutal Beatdown, Same Warrior Race, Same Pride, Tough as Nails, over 9,000 shocking speed, and Fierce Battle are their link sets. And generally speaking, they're an okay unit, being on Joint Forces, Planetary Destruction, Pure Saiyans, Space, Traveling Warriors, Saiyan Saga, and Terrifying Conquerors. They are, I would say, a pretty decent floater that can do some damage. I find them most useful in things like ESBR, SBR, or any event where you can lower attack and defense. They're not too bad. Defensively, as a third slot unit, they're actually quite solid. This is a unit that can have anywhere between, ranging on support, 300 to 360,000 defense with 2 dupes in them, which is what I have here. And the 30% damage reduction combined with the guard, combined with the 360k defense, combined with the raising attack and defense on super, you could potentially get up to 3 supers, means that they can actually be very tanky. Like, they can actually handle a lot of really hard fights. Like, they are surprisingly tanky. As a damage dealer, they do depend a little bit obviously on dupes. I think that's no surprise. They also depend a little bit on support. That 8% attack and defense, or sorry, that 8% attack that kicks in when performing a super attack is pretty crucial towards their overall damage, especially when you apply a support to the factor. It then just tends to make them really function quite well. So, overall, I'd say as a unit, anytime you can have a unit that's kind of close to like the 7 million, kind of range, a unit, and without link leveling as well, which we'll talk about. But anytime you have a unit that's like at the 7 million range, has 360, maybe even close to, like 300k defense, guard, 30% damage reduction in the third slot, and also can do multiple super attacks, raising that defense to close to over 600k. I think that unit's pretty good. I think overall they're really solid. Obviously from link leveling, they gain quite a bit, especially in terms of attack. But they gain a little bit of defense. If you can activate Tough as Nails and over 9,000, it is actually quite crucial towards their functionality. So Tough as Nails especially is very big for them because of the fact that it provides a 5% damage reduction buff, which is very big. It's additive, so they end up having like 35% damage reduction, and then obviously the extra defense helps. So yeah, I mean, Tough as Nails is a big link for them. It is also their hard, well, barring over 9,000, it is also like their hardest link to obtain. So it is just a bit difficult to, prioritize getting all of that. But if you can, then great. Overall, they're pretty good. Their condition requirement for their guard is not that hard. Terrifying Conquerors or Pure Saiyans, those are probably the only 2 teams you'd run them on realistically. Planetary Destruction included, I guess, in that statement. But there's plenty Broly's, Turles', Pure Saiyans. I mean, there's tons of units. So overall, they're pretty good. The only thing I'd say is they just don't really give you a lot. Like, they give you a solid third float, like a solid floating damage dealer that is not flimsy. That's really what they are. Like, you'll stick them in the third slot. They should survive normals in most fights, pretty much most situations, and then they'll do a bit of damage, and then that's it. They're like out. They don't really do too much besides that. They don't like aid the rest of the team. They don't give key They don't give a 2-turn buff. They don't do anything like that. I think, yeah, what would have been interesting is if they'd been given a 2-turn buff on Super. Could have made them a very interesting option for a lot of these teams. But overall, I think they're quite fine as is. Their role is very simple. You bring them if you want a unit that's not going to let you down against normals, and will score you a little bit of extra damage that you can provide. You shouldn't really look at them beyond anything like that. I think overall, they sit in that position quite nicely. They function in that position quite nicely. But yeah, overall, nice. In terms of links, like I mentioned earlier, Tough as Nails is your focal point, but Saiyan Warrior Race is pretty easy to get. Shocking Speed is relatively easy. Fierce Battle is relatively easy. Even Brutal Beatdown is not too hard to get. But I would say Tough as Nails, Saiyan Pride, and over 9,000 aren't the easiest, especially over 9,000 and Tough as Nails. Tough as Nails is not impossible, but it's just hard on the teams that they're on. Like outside of Nappa, which we don't necessarily have an amazing Nappa right now. There's not a huge amount. And you have like the AGL Nappa Vegeta. They share the link with them. They're in like a decent position. So that's probably, I would say, your best bet overall, but they're not a real traditional first slot unit. So you do have to be a bit careful. But yeah, aside from that, I think they are very good. And yeah, that's pretty much it from me. So let me know what you guys think, if you've used them or not. But otherwise, I will see you guys in the next one. Till then, take care, stay safe, and bye.